All right, here we go. Check one, two. This is your boy, the one and only Tony Maceo, scholar and trick philosopher, coming to you live and direct from Power and Strategy TV, representing Max City Limits Podcast. And tonight we're going to get into some things that were, that was explained or asked on the last podcast. One of the chat room citizens or denizens or whatever you want to call it asked me about, a podcast. I think it was either Tony Snow or someone in my comment section asked me about protecting your assets during marriage because one of the things that niggas are always crying about, oh, marriage is a bad thing for men and the laws are stacked against us. There's no way we can keep from getting raped. Well, if you don't look after yourself, if you're not smart about how you manage your money, yes, that's true, but there are alternatives. And I've had suggestions to do this before, and I did something like this before on Miss Nicole Michelle's channel when we talked about the Eddie Murphy, excuse me, the Nicole Murphy, Layla Roshan, Antoine Fuqua debacle. And I kind of touched on it over there, but I didn't really go into depth on it. But um, tonight I thought I'd do that. And joining me on my panel is Nicole Michelle's hating ass. She gave up way too much game today on that podcast. And
Here you
um,
go.
she always messing shit up. See, I was over here living ghetto fabulous. We wasn't bothering her. We were happy over here in our bonnets, our black lips, our dingy pajama bottoms and tweety slippers. And she just had to come in here.
Yes, I did.
She just had to come in here. You're a hater. See, that's what it is. You're a hater. That's what it is. You're a hater. You
I had
can't
to fix
stand.
you.
You can't stand to see a nigga happy. You're a hater. That's what it is. It's
You're
just hate.
happy. You're happy with bonnets,
It's
black
just
lips, and with pajama bottoms and
yeah. I like weave in my Kool-Aid.
oh my god.
I like weave in my Kool-Aid. You
Oh
just
my
have to come in here. Hey, you're a hater. That's what it is. You're a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater.
god. Y'all hear this? Oh
You're
my
a
god.
hater. And I told the Fat Mac too, and he agreed that something has to be done about your ass. You cannot continue on as you've been going.
You tell
So
Fat Mac I'm here. What's up? What's up?
we're gonna get your ass for this. But nevertheless, here we are here tonight on Power and Strategy TV, and of course we welcome Miss Nicole Michelle. I enjoy coming over there and trolling up her chat room. I'm just serious. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. Anyway, uh, let's get started here tonight. This was a comment that was left in. There was a question left in my comment section, and I know a lot of dudes talk about. We've had our criticisms of marriage, and we talked about how the laws favor men and so forth and so on. Well, I thought today was only fair. Tonight it was only fair, or at some point that I kind of give the brothers a little bit of information on how to protect themselves. Now, if you didn't do this and you wound up in a different situation, please don't come in my chat room tonight to my, but Tony, this happened to me. Well, nigga, did you do or did you go through any of the things I'm about to tell you? Well, no. Well, that's why it happened to you. So please save your questions. I won't say save your questions. Make sure your questions are practical, make sure they're logical. And if you know you didn't employ any of the things that I'm talking about, please save me. But I heard this happen and I heard that happen. Please don't give me that shit tonight. Please don't do it. Just please ask informed, logical, practical, and intelligent questions only tonight. So I have Miss Nicole Michelle here, and once again, I would like to thank her for showing up on my channel. She's been one of my most steadfast and diligent and consistent promoters of this channel. So I want to thank her. In spite of the fact that she fucking up my hustle, uh, I would like to thank her for promoting my channel.
Yeah, you love the ratchet community.
With her hating ass. All right. Shantina said, Tony would love the DMV. It's full of bonnet wearing females with the Tweety Bird slippers. The Tweety Bird slippers, Shanti. Do they have the Tweety Bird slippers and the dingy pajama tops? And, do they have those down there? because I got to have the dingy pajama tops and the Tweety Bird slippers.
It has to be dingy, Tony.
They
Got to be
dingy.
dingy.
She's not official if it's not dingy.
Oh my God.
If there aren't tracks on the counter, where she's making Kool-Aid, it's not official. It's not official. All right. So let's get started. One of the questions, she said, yes, Tweety Bird slippers and pajamas. All right. DMV in the house, baby. All right, here we go. Let's get started. One of the ways that, one of the complaints, of course, is that men have always been getting raped in the course because they are the laws are heavily centered in favor of the woman, are situated in favor. And that's right. That there's a very good reason for that. There's a very good reason for that. The reason the laws are centered or situated in women's favor is because back in times, in the days of old, women were considered the property or the wards of their husbands. They were considered the dependents of their husbands. They lived off of their husband's income. But as the Industrial Revolution emerged, and as we came into the 21st century, on through the Industrial Revolution, as we transformed from an agrarian society into an industrial society, women started to be able to enter the workforce, but they didn't really change the laws with respect to divorce, with respect to property settlement, and how and what women got during divorce proceedings. So if you were divorced, what happened was that they didn't want that woman going back into the welfare rolls. Not when there was an income that could maintain her. Not when there was a means by which she could be supported and not be on the state's dime. So the laws were written really to encourage you to work out whatever problems you have. I'm just going to be honest with you. The laws were written to make divorce as expensive as possible because the society did not favor or support divorce. They supported families, they supported marriages. Because one thing that they did not want was that they did not want a group or a society or community or a country full of bastard children. Bastardy was a plague in medieval Europe, in 14th and 15th century Europe, especially in poor areas. There was a saying that the rich get rich and the poor get children. So the drafters, the litigators, the legislators believed that if they encouraged marriage and if they made divorce more expensive to obtain or to attain, it would favor public policy and encourage marriage, and we would have a healthy and happy and vibrant society. Well, that what they intended to do and how it's worked out. Obviously, they didn't see the change in civilization. They didn't see the change in societies. And nevertheless, today we have divorce, but we still have a situation to where most of the assets in divorces, if there aren't safeguards put in place, they favor the women because they don't want the woman on the welfare rolls. And then on top of that, I mean, there's a practical matter. You can't just take 10 or 15 years of somebody's life and then just put them in the streets and think that you're not going to give them anything. It's just not going to work that way. It's just, I keep telling y'all, I'm going to tell y'all time and time again, pussy costs. I don't know how many times I can say that. I don't know how to say it. I'm going to tell you, a woman is an expense. There is a cost to women. Deal with it. Deal with it. There's no such thing as a free woman. There's no such thing as a free ride. There's no such thing as free coochie. It costs.
Maceo, let me ask you something. When you're
Yes.
talking to men, hold on, how's my mic? Okay. When you're talking to men, do you explain, like, in their minds, what do they actually think they are going to hang on to after divorce? When a woman has had his children and she is going to be the primary caregiver of said children, why do they get so upset that she's entitled to anything?
Because most dudes, what they're saying, the rationale is that, okay, she didn't work a day. She didn't go out of the house and work a day on this job. She didn't create or make this wealth. All she did was enjoy it. So if I
Okay.
made it, why is she entitled to it?
All right.
That's the
So,
argument.
okay. And that is actually goes into why I created my channel, which is to reinforce this whole feminist notion that being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife is not work. That maintaining the home is not a job. When you are available for your husband 24 hours a day, you're available for your children, you're keeping the home, you're always available for them. That's a job, maintaining the home. And so we live in a society that downplays women being in the home. So we have to reprogram our minds to appreciate that as a job. So when I hear men saying that, I automatically know that's feminist ideology ingrained in us, that a woman doesn't have value unless she's working a corporate job.
Well, that I agree with you, by the way. There has been legislation on the books to actually monetize household or women that remain in the household to raise the family, to raise children. There was legislation on the books for that, but it was subsequently shot down, and they compromised it for the. I'm sure you're familiar with the FMLA. I think it is Family and Medical Leave Act.
Yes.
Was what it was. Now, initially they wanted to do that, but what happened was Tammy Bruce and the rest of them, and Steinem, who has been recently outed as an agent of the state, who was actually in the employ of the Central Intelligence Agency, and I'm not going to go into that whole
Not
brouhaha.
surprised. Right.
But there was actually legislation by a lot of the grassroots women's groups that was saying that they wanted to monetize or receive some compensation. And Bruce and the rest of them, Bruce and Steinem and the rest of them, pretty much sold out that cause. Bruce and Steinem and the rest of them pretty much sabotaged that because they said what they wanted to do was to protect the woman in the workforce because they felt that she was far more susceptible to discrimination, to pay inequity, and to hazardous working conditions in the environment due to the fact that she was a woman. Now, I wouldn't say that it was. I think it's six of one, half a dozen of the other, is what I'm saying. I think working in the home, I mean, constantly having to, take care of children, constantly having to be on the go. I mean, I think it is just as necessary for a woman to perform her functions inside the home as outside the home.
I have a
Now,
question.
they may have an argument that it was more dangerous. They may have an argument there, but I'm not for certain that. I probably need to do more research on that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
With the equal pay question, though, I have a question for the ladies, and this might sound weird coming from a woman, but the equal pay conversation that the feminists hang their hats on, that's one of their biggest issues that they champion. But let me ask the ladies, and even the fellas, if a woman takes a job at UPS and she has to carry 60-pound packages and so forth and so on, various sized packages weighing different weights. We all know women are not as strong as men. Should she be paid the same as a man if she's having to ask her coworkers to assist her in her job functions? See, when women fight for equality, they are in essence saying that they bring the same to the table. They offer the same to the table, and we really don't. Like female soldiers, are they able to carry those heavy guns just like men? Some are, but the majority, are they? See, women have to be careful what we ask for. And I think we're about to get a rude awakening. The selective service, they're reevaluating that. They've already reevaluated it in the state of Texas. Women are about to get a rude awakening. This LGBT, these women's movement, women's rights, we are about to get a rude awakening. And all of the stuff that we have let these feminazis get away with, we are going to have to pay. No, our daughters are going to have to pay for it because we've already paid for it with our social lives, our failed marriages, our job dissatisfaction. Generation X has already paid a huge price, but the Z's are gonna get it because these LGBT feminazis are going to. Woo! What do you think, Maceo?
Well, I mean, I never understood why would a woman be working construction anyway, right? I never understood why would a woman be in a heavy labor condition where she had to lift packages 50 pounds and above. I never
Right.
understood why any woman would even want to do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about, and here's where I think you can have two things, is what I'm saying. And here's what I mean. I absolutely think if you have a woman that's an investment banker and you have a man that's an investment banker, yeah, I think they should get the same pay. If you have a woman that is a bank teller and a man that is a bank teller, they should get the same pay. If they're real estate executives, yeah, they should get the same pay. If they're insurance salesmen or saleswomen in this case, yeah, they should get the same pay. I think you can viably support equal pay for both genders without tearing down the gender roles. And I think that's where the feminists went too far. I think they wanted to redefine gender. I think it was a war on gender roles and the idea of gender roles. I really think that at a very, very primal and fundamental level, that what they really wanted to do was be men. That was just my personal opinion. I thought a lot of feminist theory was just penis envy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was my position. But I never understood why would you want to be on the front line. I remember when they made that movie. I don't know if you remember it. There was a movie called G.I. Jane with Demi
Oh
Moore.
yes. Oh yeah. That was a great movie,
You know,
but I didn't see the feminist undertone in it.
yeah, this thing that and then there was another movie starring I think her name was Meg Ryan with Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I forgot the name of it.
I
I know what
forget
you're
the
talking
name of
about.
it. If anybody knows the name of that movie, type it in the chat.
It
But
was
th-
with where she went off to the military and got killed.
yes,
When I
that's
took that,
correct.
yeah.
And they were trying to find out what happened and how she got killed, and Denzel Washington was trying to investigate, how she got killed. But anyway, I didn't have a problem with women working corporate jobs and getting equal pay, but I did have a problem with the assault on gender roles. I did have an idea with them trying to redefine gender roles because I thought that that was going to lead to the dissolution of the home. I thought it was going to lead to the destruction of the family unit. And lo and behold, here we are. That's exactly what's happening. We've reached the living end now. And I think it is indirectly, if not directly, responsible for a lot of gender confusion that we have out here in society. We have dudes acting like women and women acting like dudes. So, yeah, that's it. That's it, Devin.
Courage Under
Courage
Fire.
Under Fire. That
That's
was
my
it.
girl. She always coming
Okay.
through. But yeah, that brings us round robin to our topic, really, because women have fought so much for equality and we've become more like men. Men are not motivated to be married now. So now they're giving pushback on why they don't want to be married. And so when you have women who look at marriage as um, mm, traditionally it was you looked at as this is just part of being a woman is raising a family and being a wife. Women have all of these options. They look at marriage like, okay, well, if I get married I can leave. And the men are saying, wait, you're gonna take my child, you're gonna take my house, you're gonna take my money. And so there's Big Mike in the house.
You goddamn right. They need to stay pregnant in the kitchen. You
Oh
goddamn
my
right.
God.
You
Oh
damn
God.
right.
Mike shows up and Maceo goes off the chain.
You
So
damn right.
so with all of these options women have, men are like, now wait a minute, why should I get married when I can get all this PUSSY out here being a free agent? Why should I limit myself to one woman when all these women that believe in free sex or whatever everybody's saying, my body, it's my men are getting plenty of sex. They're getting women coming over doing the most just for attention. So why should men get married? So we don't really have a pushback for that, ladies. So Maceo.
All right. Mac, this woman, you didn't hear her podcast today. She's trying to break up our hustle. We got to do something about Nicole Michelle. Something has to be done about her immediately. All right. So here we go. Where are we at now? Let's start at the beginning. Let's deal with how can you protect yourself? How can you protect yourself from getting raped? Okay, how does this happen? Okay, so one of the things you have to understand that if you're getting married, you have to sit down with the person you're marrying and you got to have a real discussion. You can't be in your feelings about love because, like it or not, marriage is a business and business are transactional. Business is transactional. Excuse me. Damn, I can't talk tonight. Business is transactional. And so if a business or if businesses are transactional, you need to look at what type of transactions are involved in that particular business. So I've always said I think that everything should be discussed. I think that money should be discussed. Money's a big thing that should be discussed. Who's going to be the breadwinner? How are these bills going to get paid? Who's going to have the responsibility for the children? Gender roles and all these things need to be spelled out. Well, one of the things that needs to happen, one of the things that needs to happen should be there are three different ways to protect your assets if you're going to do this. One is a prenuptial agreement. Prenuptial literally means before marriage. Okay. So this is an agreement that you sit down and you draw up with. A lot of dudes think that it's just a situation where they sit up and draw up ways where they keep women from getting any of their assets or any of their money. And of course, it works like that. But prenups can also spell out what happens if a person is unfaithful. It can also spell out what happens if one of the parties is financially reckless. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with you being able to get your marbles and get your bag and run if the marriage doesn't work out. Okay. So a prenuptial agreement back in the day, a prenup agreement used to be the bomb. But since then, they've come up with all kinds of ways to invalidate a prenuptial agreement. One way to invalidate a prenuptial agreement is on the grounds of fraud. No contract would be allowed to stand if it was entered into on the grounds of fraud or undue influence. Now, that's been a way that a lot of women have, gotten around prenups. They'll say, "Oh, he forced me to sign it. Oh, he forced me to do it. I didn't want to do it. He forced me to do it." And the burden of showing undue influence is very low. It's very low. And so using undue influence or fraud, a lot of women are able to invalidate prenuptial agreements. And then, of course, the man is, in essence, ripped off.
Maceo.
Yes,
Before we go
yes,
deep
yes.
into the legalities, I'm gonna want to get inside the man's mind.
Okay,
He's in love. She got a
okay.
big old booty and he in love. He in
Hmm.
love, Maceo. He in
Hmm.
love.
Yeah.
How does a man present the idea that he has a prenup to the woman that he love and he want to marry?
Well, here's how he would present it. He would just tell her flat out, he's like, "Look, I want to spend the rest of my life with you." And he should tell her flat out. He just break it down. "Look, I'm in love with you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but things are not guaranteed. And things are not guaranteed, because things are not guaranteed, I want to be able to protect myself should we not work out." That's how you present it. And you explain to her, well, you should be able to protect yourself in the event that things don't work out. Because I don't think that any woman is going to sit still and hear a nigga say, "Well, I want to be able to, take my bag and run if I decide I don't want to be with you no more. Or if we decide we don't want to be together, I think I should be able to take my bag and run." Because every person operates on the idea of self-interest. Every individual works on behalf of their own self-interest. So you can't expect the person that you're talking to sit there and think that, okay, oh, it's cool, I love you, so I'm going to allow you to protect yourself and I'm not going to protect me. I think that is naive. I think it's irrational. And I think it is borderline moronic to expect them to sit there and let you believe that you're going to sit up, lay up with them, and then when it's all over, just take your bread and split. That's not going to happen.
Okay, so what if she comes back? I'm inside the mind of a man.
Okay.
She goes, "What do you mean? You don't love me? You don't trust me? You're already planning for a divorce."
Here's what me and Mike would say to the Ratchets. Here's the conversation that we would have with the Ratchets. We would tell them flat out like this: it's not that I don't trust you, it's that I can't afford to trust you. Now, that's a harsh truth, but it's real. I cannot afford to trust you if shit don't work out. I cannot afford to trust you in case you get the 7-year itch for new dingaling. I can't afford to run that risk. I can't afford to leave my assets open. I can't afford to be returned to a state of destitution. I can't afford to lose all of my property just because we wake up one day and decide that we no longer want to be together or the marriage isn't working. So I love you, but trusting you beyond this arrangement, I can't afford to do that. And if you love me, you would protect yourself because I'm expecting you to come up with your terms for this prenuptial agreement.
So you do encourage men to, yes, obtain counsel, get, the beginning of the forms and documents, what you said, but also allow her to look over the prenup and have her legal advisor look it over and give her advice as well and add to it, right?
Yep, she will put her terms in. I'm gonna get there, Bootsy. I'm gonna get there. Don't step on my content. Don't step on my flow. I'm gonna get there. But yes, I would advise her to do that. I would advise her. Any man should advise a woman to have counsel. But I know how niggas are. Niggas gonna want to get over and shit like that. And see that's how shit goes sideways. Because if the courts sense that a contract is unilateral, meaning that it heavily favors one person, all the benefits are going in one direction, they're gonna invalidate that shit anyway because they're not going to allow a contract to invalidate public policy. What do I mean when I say that? They're not going to let you sit here and contract this woman back into poverty when you have assets that could go to protect her, to keep her from going on welfare, to keep her from going on the state's dime. That's not going to happen.
So what you're in essence saying is to protect protect yourself from that argument down the road. You would encourage her to obtain her own counsel, have them look it over, add what they want to add, so they can't come back and say, "Well, he forced me," or "I was on drugs."
I didn't know what I was signing.
Right. Okay.
That type thing. I was there. There's this term that the law has now. Normally, you hear it in criminal plea agreements. You hear these three words: knowing, intelligently, and voluntarily. Knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. If you enter into that agreement knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily, you understood what you were signing, it's no problem. And that brings me to another reason upon which to invalidate a prenuptial agreement is you entered into the agreement by mistake. Mistake will void an agreement.
Mistake. What does
Mistake.
that mean?
Mistake means there was a fundamental misunderstanding as to the subject matter covered in the agreement, or there's a fundamental misunderstanding of the terms of the agreement. If you get a girl that enters into a prenuptial agreement and she is illiterate or semi-literate or doesn't completely understand the depths of the terms and the consequences of the long-term impact of the terms in the prenuptial agreement, the court will the court will invalidate that damn agreement. Or what they'll do, they'll take it and use its equitable powers. And blue pencil, that's a term of art, blue pencil, meaning they will revise the agreement and they will revise it on equitable grounds. Now, equitable means, or is supposed to mean, on terms that are fair to both parties. But if the court finds that you did some nefarious and unsavory shit, they're going to tip that agreement in her favor and charge you for the privilege of doing it.
All right, let's go back. Let's rewind. Let's go back to the beginning because I'm in the mind of a man now. Let me ask you a question. All the fellas in the room, ladies, y'all pay attention to the answer Maceo gives. Should a man be getting married if he cannot afford to obtain counsel to help him draw up a prenup and a separation agreement?
So you gonna make me go there. You're gonna make me go there. See, I
Should
didn't
he
want to
even
do
be
that.
getting married? Go on,
I didn't want to
Maceo.
do
Go
I didn't
there.
want to do this.
Go there. Go there.
Look, if it was up to me, I would not let poor motherfuckers have sex. I damn sure wouldn't let them get married. I would issue fucking licenses.
Oh my
You would have
gosh.
to qualify to fuck. And if you got caught fucking and you didn't have a license, you would get a fucking violation. And so many violations, you would have to take a drug to kill your sex drive.
Why on earth would you do that?
I would look because bringing a marriage and bringing children into a condition of poverty, in a state of poverty, is a public nuisance. It is an epidemic. That shit is a plague. That is a scourge. The saying, the rich get rich and the poor get children, that's real. That's real. And again, dealing with what I see every day as a chess coach, dealing with children as I do every day, you don't see the heinous shit I see. That's why I take that position. And that's why I said I wouldn't agree with poor people getting married, or I wouldn't agree with poor people getting divorced. Maybe I should say it that way. Y'all just be broke and miserable together.
Yeah, because now you have to answer the question, well, what is the definition of poor?
Poor, I would say, for me, poor is if you're under $20,000. That's poor to me. If your income is under 20 grand, that to me is poor.
So in other words, after you pay your rent and your bills, with combined incomes, you're still poor.
You're still poor.
Okay.
Exactly. So to answer your question more directly and more succinctly, I do not think that poor people should be getting married. No, I do not.
Okay. There it is. So fellas, if you already feeling like if she leave you, you're gonna be broke, you probably don't need to be married.
But then I also know, see, in saying that, I have to also be practical, because if they don't get married, they're going to be fucking. They're going to be making children. And
Anyway,
that's a problem.
right.
That's why I said I would license people to fuck. I would literally grant fucking license, just like driver's licenses. But anyway.
So basically going back to this whole piece about if they can't afford an attorney to set up a prenup and separation agreement, that's what a lot of men do, is they're very passive when it comes to the courts, Maceo. And I know you are officer of the court, so you see it there, but especially black men, they are extremely passive when it comes to the courts. And then they cry and weep and moan about being raped over the coals. And I'm like, you have more power than you use.
Well, let me say this though. Let me go back and be fair. That's my personal bias, but let me go back and be fair. If you don't have the money if you don't have money for an attorney, there are agencies that can help you. One of the agencies that are out there that help poor people is your local legal aid company, or your local legal aid agencies. They assist poor people with services such as, they assist them with probate services. They assist them with family law and family services. So you could get a prenuptial agreement drawn up through legal aid. You can actually get that done. And to actually do it, it depends upon who you go to. A lot of the attorneys are billing out at about $300 an hour. So that will require a substantial investment. I'm talking about something in the neighborhood of probably about anywhere from $750 to $1,500 for them to draw up that agreement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you could save for that. But outside of that, there are nonprofit legal services available to poor people. So poor people have options. I just don't believe that they should be fucking, but they have options.
Okay, so you advise the ordinary brother working at UPS to check out his legal aid office, something like that, and get them to help him maybe
And
be on a payment plan or something.
yes, get
All
them to assist him. There's also, you know, there's also, like I said, there are attorneys around that will help you that offer low cost pro bono services to help you draw up these agreements, to help you put these things together because they're not going to court. So it should be kind of inexpensive because you're not requiring them to argue a motion. You're not requiring them to conduct a jury trial. You're not requiring any of that. You're just requiring a bit of paperwork.
Let me ask
So
you.
in that way, the services you would be able to get a free, not a free. You would have access to low cost document preparation services. Go ahead.
So what about those websites that you can get templates for legal documents?
Yes,
Can
you
they
can
do
go to
that?
LegalZoom. That's an option. You
Okay.
can go to LegalZoom and get that. But here's the thing. When you draw up those agreements, here's why you should get an attorney to do that. I mean, if your legal game is that nice, but that brings me back to what you said earlier. See, a lot of niggas are afraid of the system. And that's their biggest enemy. Your biggest enemy is not the system. Your biggest enemy is your fear
Yes. Thank
of the
you.
system.
Thank
That's your
you.
biggest enemy.
Thank you.
So the thing is you have to overcome your fear of the system. You have to get over your fear of them. If you don't get over your fear of them, you'll always be fucked over. You'll always come up short, and it won't necessarily be with a marriage. It won't necessarily be with a woman. They'll be screwing you over at every stop. They do screw you over at every stop. There's an excellent book called Free Lunch by an economist and investigative reporter, David K. Johnston. I would recommend people go and actually read that book. And it explains how society, how the system, not just the state, but how corporate America is getting over on you and using the state to help them do it. And I'm going to get into a little bit of that tonight with respect to asset protection for divorce. But the thing is, you have to stop being afraid of the system. You have to educate yourself on how the system. And I'm not talking about that. A lot of shit you hear about these jailhouse lawyers. I'm not talking about that. You got a lot of jailhouse lawyers on YouTube. Talking about, oh, there are a million ways to beat cases. Look, those niggas are a one-way ticket to either an indictment or a one-way ticket to destitution, extreme poverty. Okay? Pay those niggas no mind. Go find you a competent attorney who is educated in these matters and who can help you. Okay? So with that being said, do you have any more suggestions before we go to our next?
Nope, I just wanted to cover that because I've never heard that being discussed anywhere near Black YouTube anyway. And I think that's important that people understand that there are options for people that are not rich, because we always talk about celebrities and rich folks, but we need to be practical here.
Well, Black YouTube don't talk about shit but fucking. Okay? Black YouTube don't talk about shit but fucking and then cry about child support. But anyway, yep, that's it, Devin Haley. Free Lunch: How the Wealthiest Americans Enrich Themselves at Government Expense and Stick You with the Bill. That's it. That's the book exactly. But anyway, these things need to be said. They need to be shared so that people understand how to protect themselves. So the moral of the story is, yes, there are services to help the poor. I'm a contractor at one of those services. That's how I know. I do this for a living. So let's get started. Now, we left off at prenup. We left off at prenups. Let's go to our next wealth protection device or tool. It is called a marital settlement agreement. What is a marital settlement agreement, Tony? Glad you asked. It is an agreement that spells out the term of divorce. It explains the relationship between the two parties after the divorce. The agreements include property division. Who's going to get the house? Who's going to get the car? You know, it also covers debt division. Who's going to be responsible for the mortgage? Who's going to be responsible for the insurance? It also covers spousal support. It covers child custody. It can also cover child support as long as those provisions in that agreement is in harmony or in lockstep with the state's method for computing or determining child support. That is one of the most mature ways to do a divorce. Because a lot of times when, niggas do divorce, we get in our feelings. We trying to one up each other, you know. And you hate her for whatever reason, she hates you for whatever reason. And those lawyers don't want, if you don't have a whole lot of money, if you're not wealthy, those lawyers don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear all that drama. They don't want to hear how your wife got caught sucking somebody's dick in the basement. They don't want to hear that shit. They want to get you out of their office as fast as possible. Okay? So they don't want to hear your personal drama. Separation agreements are a way to get a divorce over as quick as possible without the acrimony. And judges like it because it means that they don't have to put a jury trial for a divorce on their docket so that they can move their cases along. It promotes judicial economy. The judges can get through whatever cases are on their docket and then go somewhere and play golf, get a blowjob, cheat on their wife, whatever the case may be. They can go do whatever they want to do, and they don't have to worry about sitting there listening to a whole bunch of drama. I'm sure some of the people remember Divorce Court. Some of the people remember it was an old television show back in the day. I think it was back in the 80s. It was called Divorce Court, where the people would come in and they would explain to the judge why they want a divorce and the grounds for divorce and so forth and so on. Well, today, with no-fault divorces, that's pretty much a dinosaur now. Although I think they did have another TV show with, I think her name, was it Maybelline, the dark-skinned judge? I forget her name, Maybelline. Oh, I forget her last name. It ain't important anyway. But Maybelline Ephraim, that's her. And they had a case with her, and I think Judge Lynn Toller or Toiler, I think she may have taken it over, but it was Maybelline Ephraim. But today they have no-fault divorces. So, you've gotten around, divorces for adultery. You've gotten around divorces for, you can't get along. Irreconcilable differences is what it was called then. And they still use that now, actually, irreconcilable divorces. But you can also put into prenuptial agreements and into settlement agreements grounds for the divorce. You can also put in their property division in the event that someone breaks the integrity of the home through infidelity. If somebody gets caught cheating, you can spell out the terms of property division in the settlement agreements. Okay? So let's go over a couple of things dealing with settlement agreements. Settlement agreements become your divorce decree. That's why judges like them. Because what happens is you write out the terms of the divorce right there in the agreement. It becomes your divorce decree. Okay? So it also covers, things such as the marital home, your vehicles, and other assets. It also, a divorce settlement agreement can also be changed, but it has to be changed on consent in writing by both the parties. And typically when you do that, you have to generally draft another agreement in order to get that off.
Okay, so let's slow this down and break it down like we fifth graders. So in other words, if a man and a woman get together and they say, all right, we're in marriage negotiations is what I call it in the inner beauty movement. We're talking about marriage. We're serious about it. This is going down. We're going to sit down like two adults and discuss our assets upon possible separation in the event we separate. And basically I'm telling him, okay, I have my car, I have, my little stay-at-home business. If I get a stay-at-home business started up, you may not have one, but you may be thinking about starting one up. You have kids together. You may write a book or something. This can cover things that have not happened yet, as well as things that you currently have, right?
Yes, it also, if you have, for a good example of that is if you don't have children. If you don't have children, you can cover how you will handle custody and support in the event you have children.
So let's slow this down. So
Okay.
what you're saying, Mr. Maceo, is that a
Hmm.
couple in marriage negotiations, this going down, we are getting married. We
Hmm.
are effectively discussing in the event we separate, it's called a separation agreement. We can iron out how we want to separate and how we want to split up our assets and potential
Yes.
assets, including child support, including the
Yes.
marital property and any other assets obtained during the union, right? So we don't have
Yes.
to wait on the judge to
Exactly.
force us to divvy it up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, with respect to child support, that the computation or the amount of child support has to be in tandem with or within the provisions of how they determine child support in that jurisdiction. You can't come up with your own formula willy nilly and say, well, I'm going to pay X. As long as that amount that you're going to pay squares with how they determine the amount that you should be paying, you're good. The judges are also going to look over those agreements to make sure that everything is covered. All the debts and liabilities and assets and expenses. He's going to make sure that that separation agreement covers all of those things. He wants to see how well it's written. And once he determines how well, if it's a well written document, and he finds that both parties signed it knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily, that separation agreement becomes the divorce decree.
Okay. Now I hate asking this question, Maceo. But what about those people who do not want to get married legally through the state? They want to do some type of privatized marriage thing. Does this work, and does this favor the man or the woman?
You mean them dusty ass hotep marriages? That's what you're talking about?
Some
Them
of them ain't
dusty ass
hotel.
hotep marriages?
Some of them
Or
ain't
them
even
niggas that
hotel.
just want to lay up with somebody? Oh, baby, we got an understanding. We don't need the white man's designation. Those
Yeah, the
niggas, right?
private marriage folks.
Okay. There are cohabitation, there are what they call common law marriages, meaning that if you stay with someone for a certain period of time, you would be considered married to them. Now, I know Georgia did have common law marriage, but I think that changed in 1997. And so you still have some places that are open to common law marriages, but most of them don't respect, most of the jurisdictions don't respect common law marriage. It has to be uh, a marriage executed under statutory law, under the statutes of that particular jurisdiction. Now, with that being said, for property division, it just becomes a matter of whose name is on what. In those states where there is no common law marriage and there is no division of property based on common law marriage, it becomes whose name is on what. But it's very difficult to try to get rid of them because they have the old thing about squatters' rights. If they've been, allowed there for a specific period of time, you have to jump through a whole lot of hoops to get rid of them. If their name is on anything like, let's say, the lease or any bills like that, the court will look at that as their property. That's the bad thing about it, because even though you could be paying the mortgage and their name is not on anything, the courts will look at that property as theirs as well, even though you're paying the mortgage, and it'll be difficult. And the significance of that is that it's not impossible to get rid of them. It's not. You can get rid of them. You just have to jump through a whole lot of hoops to do it. So, if you're on that nigga shit, you get nigga consequences. When it's time to get rid of a nigga, you have to jump through hoops to get rid of a nigga. You know, versus, if it's a situation where you're married and the judge thinks that it is not conducive for both parties to stay in that house, somebody's gonna go right away, right off rip. They're gone.
So what you're saying is, okay, so common law really isn't secure in the bag because they
Hell
technically
no.
can get up and walk away, right?
Hell yeah, they can get up and walk away.
Mm.
Common
Ladies, I hope
common
you're listening.
common law, common law is some vagabond shit. It's some dusty nigga shit. It's, well, uh, I'm tired of fucking you now. What it's basically saying is, look, I'm tired of fucking you now. You getting on my damn nerves, and I'm dipping, and I'm gone, and I don't owe you shit. That's what it is. It's, we tired of fucking. That's all it is. We tired of fucking. We tired of being together. You getting on my damn nerves, and I want to go. I want to go. That's what it is. That's all it
Bye
is.
bye. okay.
I'm dipping. I'm dipping. You know. So that's what you hear most
You
dudes saying.
hobos love common law. They love pulling that card on women.
Well, you hear a lot of dudes say, "Well, don't get married." Well, okay, if you don't want to get married, then don't move in with her. You know, get your own shit and just be a bachelor. I'm not against if you want to be a bachelor, if that's what you want to do that. But then, you know, you have niggas saying they want to be a bachelor, but then they'll go move in with a bitch.
Right, but they want
You know,
in-house sex. See what I'm
yeah, yeah. So they want to go move in with a bitch. Okay, well, they want in-house pussy, but they don't want to pay any cost for in-house pussy. Well, depending on where you are, depending on where you are, uh, you can probably get that off. But in places where there is common law, they could very well leave with some property. They could very well leave with. They could very well be subject to property division in common law states.
So, ladies, if you are footing the bill, right, if you want a 50-50 situation, you get nothing for that 6, 7, 8 years you done laid up with him and talking about you, his wifey. Common law, you both leave. There is no, so say for instance, they're 50-50, they become common law after a certain amount of time, depending on the state. Can he leave unscathed? Can she leave unscathed? Or can they both sue each other?
You mean where there is no common law? It just becomes a regular civil case. If there's no common law, it's just okay, who has what? Who belongs to what? It just becomes, you know, some people's court shit where you're trying to sue, usually in small claims court, for some depreciating piece of property. And that's about it. You just fight it out in small claims court, you know, for the property that you own. That's if you're not married. That's if you're common law, you know, what if you're not married. If you're in a jurisdiction that doesn't recognize common law, you just fight it out in small claims court.
Okay. Okay. So really everybody's starting over basically after a common law split.
Yes, everybody's starting over from the beginning. Or they leave with whatever they have. They leave with whatever they have, you know. So in a majority of cases, you know, in situations where they have a settlement agreement, it is kind of difficult to back out of that because the court initially makes a agreement as to whether the document is legitimate. They do that before they issue an order. They look at it and they see if the separation agreement is valid. If it's valid and it covers everything and the court determines that it's comprehensive, it sticks. Or if they let you out of the agreement, if they let you out of the agreement, and this is why I don't like settlement agreements. This is one of the cons of it, is because it does let some people back out. Because you know, niggas will get shady, you know, when it comes to money. And that's both male and females, not just men. The women do the shit too. And they'll want to back out of the agreement or they'll want to rewrite the agreement. Well, the court can uh, make you pay damages for backing out of that agreement, but you can't get out of it.
Wow.
So that's one thing I don't like about settlement agreements.
All right.
Settlement
Oh,
agreements are also subject to contract laws, meaning it can be invalidated on the grounds of fraud and mistake as well.
okay. So
But
let me
it's
ask.
usually a better way to do. It's a better way to effectuate or initiate a divorce other than not having anything.
It's better than some. It's better than
It's
nothing.
better than nothing. Now I'm going to get to the third one in
Mhm.
just a minute. Go ahead. What were you going to ask?
Now, say for instance, what's your response to a guy who says, we're gonna get to your question, Miss V, to a guy who says, you know what, I shouldn't get married because these women ain't loyal, they gonna take my money, whatever. How do I penalize a woman who wants to leave me for another man? How do I protect myself from a woman who's cheated on me and now she won't out? How do I protect myself? She just wants out, period. How do I protect myself in the event she wants to leave me? Can I put that in a separation agreement that
Yes,
if she leaves me, she only gets X amount of dollars?
you can put that in both the separation and the prenuptial agreement. Yeah, you can do that in both. You can do that in both. Because if I ever get married and the girl who or the woman I'm with cheats on me, she getting out with 75. That's what she get. You get 75. That's it. You're gone. 75. 75 and you're gone. And if you're lucky, I might call you an Uber, but that's it.
Wow.
So yes, you can put those terms in the agreement. You can put those terms in the agreement, in both the separation agreement and the prenuptial agreement. The prenup is the weakest of the two, and I still have a third one to go. So Miss V asks, can you get the settlement agreement notarized? Yes, ma'am. You should absolutely get the settlement agreement notarized.
You have to, right?
You have to get the settlement agreement notarized. Exactly. Exactly. And you can keep that in escrow, excuse me. You keep that in escrow or on file with your attorney or with the attorney in the event that there is a divorce.
So everybody would have a copy. Both
So
attorneys, hers and his,
that's correct.
individually would have a copy, and the house would have a copy, right?
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. So you have to get that agreement notarized, because that's one of the things that the judge is going to look for. He's going to make sure that it's properly witnessed and attested to when he reviews that degree for legitimacy, to make sure it's a legally binding contract. So, all right. The third and most powerful, weapon for asset protection, and this is my favorite. The third and most powerful weapon for asset protection is called a trust. It's called a trust. If you get a trust, if you put your assets in a trust before marriage, it absolutely cannot be touched in the event of a divorce. I'm going to say that again. If you put if you put your assets in a trust, before, not after, if you put your assets in a trust before the marriage, it is inalienable. It cannot be touched. So what assets can be protected in a trust? What assets can be protected? Your home can be protected, any rental properties or investments, intellectual property, bank accounts, any companies you have, corporations, any equipment or any other property you have, any other currency you have, such as Bitcoin. All of those things can be protected in a trust. Now, somebody's going to ask, okay, well, Maceo, what is a trust? You're using all these legal words. What the hell is a trust? A trust is an entity just like a limited liability company or corporation or nonprofit. What it is an agreement drafted by an attorney, and that agreement is not registered with the government. This is how it remains anonymous, okay? It's basically a paper safe. It's a document or an agreement you draw up that explains where your assets will be held and where they go, okay? The person that manages that trust is called a trustee. A trustee can be a public trust company, such as a bank or investment firm, or a private trust company, such as a bank or investment firm. Okay. So it could be public or private. Now, a private trust company can also be controlled by you. Okay. So you and the attorney basically discuss which one you're going to use. Now, a trust is made up of three parties. There are three parties involved in a trust. There are three parties involved in a trust. What are those parties? There is the settlor. The settlor is the person who creates the trust and transfers the assets. That's the person who is the owner of the assets. That's the man who's setting up the trust. The beneficiary is the person who you want the assets to go to. That's the person for whose benefit you're setting the trust up. You can also do something called a self-settled trust, where you can set yourself as the beneficiary. So in other words, you can put your assets beyond the reach of a divorce proceeding and still keep them in your hand. Now, there's going to be a specific way we have to do that, or you have to do that, and I'll get to that in a minute. The third person, is the trustee. Again, that is the person that is in charge of administering the trust. That's the person who is in charge of making sure that everything is handled properly. Okay. So again, you can protect yourself from a messy divorce proceedings by using a trust, but you have to do it before the marriage. You have to do it before the marriage. You can't wait until shit is going sideways and she files for divorce. If you attempt to set up a trust and hide assets while a divorce proceeding is pending or while litigation is pending, that is a crime, or it can be a crime. It is called a fraudulent transfer. You cannot use a trust to defraud a creditor, but you can use a trust to place your assets outside the provisions or the hands of a creditor. Okay. So, what is a self settled trust? It's just a trust that you own, that you form for your own benefit. It's anonymous and it provides you protection from your creditors. That includes divorce. Some states require someone else to set it up. They require a third party to do it. You have to check your local jurisdiction to figure out which one is acceptable. These trusts are called domestic asset protection trusts, is what they're called. And they offer the same type of protection as moving your money offshores. Offshores or overseas. Damn, I'm getting things mixed up. But it offers the same protection as an offshore account. So again, these things must be performed, or you must do this. You got to do it before marriage. If you wait to do it at the time of litigation or at the time of divorce, the court will not respect it and they will pierce that trust. Okay. So the purpose of a trust, again, it does not have to have a beneficiary. It can be used, it could be used to designate your assets for a nonprofit charity or for some other cause. And there are some trusts that are statutory. You need to check your local jurisdiction to see how you go about setting it up. Now, there's also a grant or a non-grantor trust. What is a grantor trust? A trust is that the designation is based on how it's taxed. If the income passes to the beneficiary, then that's a grantor trust, meaning you are giving that to somebody. You're granting those assets, or you're designating someone specific to get those assets. You are the grantor. The person who you're giving the money to is the grantee. Okay. If the trust pays its own taxes, then it is a non-grantor trustee. Okay. That means a non-grantor trust. That means the trustee will then subtract whatever assets are in excess of what's there and pay the taxes. There's no one designated to receive anything. It's just the profit or any money made off of the assets goes to pay the IRS their share should you need to file income tax on the money earned while it is, in trust or so forth. Now, it's usually a very popular way for you to do this. A very popular way to do it has been the offshore accounts. But now the states have come up with ways to allow people to keep that money onshore because the Uncle Sam wants his tax revenue. So what he does is he gives you tax breaks for you to keep that money here. And one of the benefits is to allow you protection from creditors, to allow you protection from messy divorces. Now, what kind of trusts are we talking about here? If you want to protect your assets, then it should be done through an irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust cannot be touched by anybody but the trustee or you. You can designate yourself as the trustee. So an irrevocable trust is what you want to use if you want your assets to be beyond the reach of creditors. You use an irrevocable trust. Okay. So what assets cannot be protected? What assets can't you hide in a trust? This is going to hurt your feeling, niggas, but I'm going to tell you. You cannot place child support in a trust. Sorry, can't do it. Child support proceeds are not protected in a trust. Also, if you have assets pledged as collateral for loans, in other words, if you go get a bank loan and you put up your home or your equipment as collateral, you cannot then turn around and put those assets in a trust to hide them from your creditor, because you've already said that your creditor can hold title to those items for collateral. It also protects against fraudulent transfers. Now, what are fraudulent transfers? Fraudulent transfers are those transfers that when you start trying to move money and assets around when a lawsuit comes down. That's a fraudulent transfer. Okay. So, but before you get a trust, you got to affirm the following things. The following checklist has to be complied with before that trust will be recognized. 1, you have to have the right to transfer the property. 2, you got to make sure you're not broke. A trust is not for broke people. A trust is not for broke people. I'm going to say it again. A trust is not for broke people. 3, you cannot intend to defraud anyone. 4, there is no pending litigation going on while you're attempting to move assets. Okay. You cannot be more than 30 days delinquent on child support. If you are more than 30 days delinquent on child support, that trust will not be recognized in your jurisdiction. You cannot be planning to file bankruptcy. And you must also maintain personal liability insurance on your trust in the amount of $1 million or the value of the trust transfer, whichever one is lesser. That's the requirement for you to set up a trust. So I've said a whole lot. So my question is, are there any questions? Do you have any questions? Does anybody in the room have any questions?
Shout out to Naima, the greatest mod in the world. So I have to ask you a question. So a trust, once you set it up, you have to set up arrangements upon the event of your death. That trust will be granted to somebody, right?
Yeah, it's a grantor trust.
Okay.
If you wanted to go to someone, that's called a grantor trust, and you designate that person is the beneficiary. That's who you designate who it goes to. It could be a charity, it could be a nonprofit, it could be whoever, but that person would be the beneficiary, and that's a grantor trust.
Okay. Now trust that has to be set up prior to marriage, and it's usually, is there a dollar amount that's the minimum?
Well, I mean, it's something where you're going to have to get insurance on, right? So ostensibly there is no dollar amount, but it doesn't make sense to take out $1 million liability policy if you don't have anything. That's why I said trust is not for broke people. You have to have a substantial amount of money and assets to get a trust. I'll just say it that way.
There's no point. So trust is not to put up $500.
No, hell no.
500,000.
Hell no. Dave, what's it? Dave Woosum, whatever your name is. He asked, "What do you mean a trust is not for broke people?" I mean what the fuck I said. A trust is not for broke people. It's not something you do if you have $500 or $1,000. It's not what that is. What I mean is by broke people, if you don't make a substantial amount of money. Substantial amount of money is defined, as I define it, is in excess of $100,000. So if you don't have in excess of $100,000, ain't no sense in you getting a damn trust. So are there any other questions? I'm looking in the chat room here to see if anyone has any other questions.
You all, Tony's been live for an hour, and I'm looking at the likes. We need to get the likes up. He's giving y'all real game that I haven't heard in the manosphere. I haven't heard in Black YouTube, period. So y'all really need to be hooking this brother up with some likes, some PayPal love, some Patreon love. Y'all need to quit being cheap, straight up and down, because this information, you have to really read a whole bunch of books and have a lawyer friend and go pay somebody to tell you this. Because we hear a lot of fear mongering about marriage, and y'all really ignorant of the law. That's what I really hear. And that's why me and Tony wanted to do this, because a lot of people are just flat out ignorant of the law. So when you have somebody taking their time out to give you information and you can't even hit the like button, you're kind of dusty. So go ahead and hit the like button for your brother. Let him know that you like his content so folks know he alive over here so they can come over here and support the channel. Love you.
Well, that's just how niggas get down. So it is what it is. They can't say that I didn't try, because that's what niggas do. Nobody never told us. Nobody never said anything. So no, you can't say that because somebody did tell you. Andow says, what tax deferred accounts that may have been open prior to marriage, 529, etc., can those be placed in? Yes, yes. Tax deferred accounts that were open, that were set up prior to marriage. My PayPal, baby, is wayofstrategy44@gmail.com. At gmail.com. That's the proper one. Anyway, yes, Andow, in answer to your question, yes, tax deferred accounts that have been open prior to marriage may be protected. It may be placed in trust. Absolutely. That means IRAs. That means CDs. That means annuities. All of those things can be placed in a trust. Yep, and let me correct one thing. The account, you can open it after marriage. You just have to open it. Well, you just have to open it before litigation. But I wouldn't suggest you create a trust after marriage, because after marriage, everything is it's marital property. Is what it is. Marital property is defined as any asset or debt that was created during the marriage. So I retract that statement. Before marriage is better. Because I was thinking you could open it but put it together before litigation. But no, the laws on the book says that any asset or debt created during the marriage is marital property. Any asset or debt created during the marriage is marital property. So no, all trust should be done before marriage. A trust should be executed, initiated, and effectuated before marriage. Before marriage. Before marriage. Before marriage. So, are trusts really expensive? Well, I mean, it depends upon, again, how much you have. Again, you're not going to open a trust for a few $1,000s. You know, a trust is for people that have something to lose. It's not as expensive as a heavy judgment in divorce proceedings. It is not as heavy as spousal support. It is not as expensive as, unwieldy costs associated with a divorce, in terms of who's going to pay what bill, in terms of who's going to take care of the mortgage, in terms of, but you have to take care of those debts anyway, because that's part of being responsible. But what I'm saying is it's less expensive than taking the hit in courts, is what I mean.
Yeah, they're saying the link isn't working.
Let me go here. Hold on. Let me go here, because I know. Let me go here. Jesus.
No,
let me go here. Hold on. Give him the link right here. Let's see.
What's up, Billy Jeff? Y'all hit the like button. The likes.
Way of Strategy 44. Let's see. Your profile. Let me see here. Okay.
Yeah, I got the same message, Nama. Okay.
It goes by your email. Is that correct?
Well, it should just be Way of Strategy 44. So
no, it's wayofstrategy44@gmail.com.
That's what I put in the chat. And
yeah, I'm looking here. Hold on. I'm looking here. Access.
Can you pull up PayPal and just hit the save link and just post that link in the chat?
Yeah, I'm
the very top.
trying to do that. Hold on.
It's usually
Uh,
paypal.me / whatever.
PayPal. PayPal.me.
Mm-hmm. / way of strategy 44. It should be that. We're trying to do the link so everybody didn't have to do all that. They can just pull it, the link is just easier and it's
No, it doesn't. No, it's showing that way for me too, but I'm inside of my account and I log in through Way of Strategy. I don't know if I'm on paypal.me. It's Way of Strategy 44 at gmail.com.
so
Uh,
go to the top where it's at where your icon is, and under
uh,
that it should under settings, it should have your link. Hit that. It should say paypal.me.
you said under settings,
Mm-hmm. Or under your icon, it'll say your
under
name.
my settings icon,
Mm-hmm.
account settings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then which one do I hit?
Mm. Go back up to the top of your account where is your icon, your photo. Under that is your name, and then under that is your link. So you click on that and just hit copy and just post that in the chat.
Profile. Oh hell, what is this? Uh,
In the meantime, this is going to Patreon. So those of you who came in on the end, you will join his Patreon and you can listen to this at any point, because trust and
yes,
believe you're going
yes,
to want to
yes,
come back
yes,
and use
yes,
this as a
yes.
reference.
Yes. Let me see what this login security. Okay.
You see it now?
Let's see what I got here. It may be. I see email. I'm looking at personal information. Is that it? No, that's not it.
Okay, right at the very top is the bell, your icon, and then the settings icon. Click on your photo in the middle, and then it's going to take you to another page.
You said the bell.
And then in the middle is your icon.
Okay, hold on here. Just a minute. Let me see here.
Are you on your phone or are you on the actual website?
I'm on my actual website.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
I'm on
then
my
it's probably
actual
different.
website.
Oh, okay. So
I don't see it. I don't see it here. I don't see it. And I'm looking, and I just have to figure it out. Oh, it is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna keep rolling because
we'll
I
figure it
don't.
out.
I figured out. I'm not gonna keep. I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm not gonna be bothered with it. All right. Anyone? Are there any questions? Anyone else have any questions here on this issue? Because I know a lot of guys were asking me about this. This was put in my comment section. So
Good
again,
question. Pika says a lot of people are ignorant about the law. That's why MGTOW could spread misinformation about divorce. Good point.
those dudes. Well, again, you should really consider the source, as it says. They say consider the source. When you hear guys talking about this shit, consider the source and look at their situation. A lot of times these are niggas that are not getting married anyway. I'm sorry. A lot of these niggas are not even getting laid. A lot of niggas is making those complaints. They're not getting married. They're not getting laid. And I know that a lot of people hate to hear that because they say that's the go-to. You know, oh, everybody's always about. No, a lot of these niggas are losers and they're not getting laid anyway. They're not getting women anyway. They're incels. They're bitter, angry, hostile incels. Okay, so a lot of these guys that are talking that shit have never been married. Keep that in mind. A lot of niggas that are talking shit about marriage have never been married. They don't know anything about marriage. A lot of these guys have never been laid. A lot of these guys have never been in functional relationships.
They've been raised by hoes, and so they don't understand how
Well, they've been raised by hoes and they chasing hoes. That too. So they love hoes, they chasing hoes, and they raised by hoes. So, of course, they have that disposition against marriage. They do have a valid criticism as far as the law is concerned, but again, there are ways to protect yourself. Now, if you just don't want to get married, then don't get married. Nobody's forcing you to get married. If you don't want a wife, or you don't want a family, that's fine. You don't want a wife, you don't want a family, then go do what you do.
Well,
Okay.
see, Billy Jeff says so. MGTOW is actually incel. Well, we wouldn't go far as to say they're incels, but my problem with MGTOW is if you're going your own way, then don't lay up with a woman. Don't ask her to do 50-50 with you. Don't get her knocked up. Don't do any of that if you're going your own way.
Well, that's the
Just
scary.
they're using women as a utility because they don't want marriage. They don't want the responsibility of a competent man. They just want to lay up.
Well, that's the thing though. There are three different kind. Apparently, there are three different kinds of MGTOW. They're the kinds that deal with women and they're just red pill aware, and there are the kinds that just don't deal with women, and they're the kinds that I don't know what the other kind is. Don't get me started. I don't know, but it's supposedly three kinds, homosexuals, borderline homosexuals. But there are kinds that deal with women. There are MGTOWs that deal with women. There are MGTOWs that don't deal with women, and there are ones that are really borderline homosexuals. But of course, they ain't gonna tell you that shit. They're not gonna tell you that shit. So, okay, what is the question?
It's not a question, I guess it's just a comment. I'm currently a foreign and cryptocurrency. Can you go in more detail with designating myself as the beneficiary? P.S. Thanks again, Tony and Nicole. No incel here.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to designate, there's paperwork that you have to sign. There's usually a form that you go in and you see whoever your investor is, whoever the person you're investing with, to designate yourself. But as far as trust is concerned, you can go through the trusting company. You can go through, not the trusting company, the trust company, either a public or private trust company. And they have forms there where you can designate yourself as the trustee of those assets. So you can literally secret, or you can secretly withhold those assets. You can move those assets by your own hand under a different name. Let me say it that way. You could literally, in a self-styled trust, you could designate yourself as the trustee, and that would be done through the public or the private trust company, whichever one you use. He said, I'm my own trader, so we're referring to the broker. Okay. If that's what you want to do in a self-styled trust, you can do that. But what you need to do is check the statute and check the laws of your jurisdiction. Because I know that Arkansas has it, South Dakota has it, Delaware has it, and there's one other state has it. You can also set up trusts in other states. You can also designate trusts. If you don't have the opportunity to set up these trusts in your state, if you don't have domestic asset protection trusts in your state, you can set them up in other states and other jurisdictions. That is an option as well. Okay. So if you want, your trader or your broker, what's called a third party trust, if you want a third party designated to do it, then you can do it that way. Okay. It's up to you as to how you want to do it. It's up to you as to how you want to set it up, because remember, they're your assets. There are just certain provisions under which you can't do it. You can't be in litigation and then decide you want to move assets. That's called a fraudulent transfer. You cannot do that. You cannot set up trust to avoid child support. Again, you cannot do that.
So if a woman finds out that you have a trust that you set up prior to marriage, she can't get it. It is in essence a shelter from her attacking your assets.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a shelter from her attacking your ad. It places those assets beyond a divorce judgment because it's private. That trust is an agreement. It's a safe on paper. That's all it is. It's a safe on paper. You are creating a company wherewith which to deposit your assets. That's all you're doing. It's a piece of paper that creates an entity, a place to store your wealth beyond the hands of creditors or messy divorce judgments. Yes, but it has to be done before marriage, because everything after marriage is marital property, flat out.
Oh,
we got We got B Money in the house. B Money. I want to do an interview with you, B Money, at some point. I want to do an interview with you on Genosha TV. So email me, and we need to get a date together to do that interview. Okay. So, but yes, that's what it's for. A trust puts money beyond the hands of creditors. Beyond the hands of creditors, with one very important exception for child support. He says, can you continue to add funds to the trust during the marriage? That's a good question. Can you continue to add money? You can add money to the trust during the marriage. Yes, you can. You just cannot move the money during divorce, during litigation proceedings. But yes, you can add money to the trust during the marriage because it is an independent entity. Yes, you can do that.
So say for
Yes, you can.
instance, they got married, they were poor kids, they were poor, none of them had anything. He gets money, and so he decides he listens to this broadcast, decides to do a trust, or let's do this. He didn't know about any of this trust thing, but he suspects that his wife is gonna leave him or he's gonna leave her. And he runs off and opens a trust. Can he do that?
Oh no. No, 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 no. That you will be pierced at that point because you're opening that trust with marital property. Now the trust he has to keep his mouth shut. The only way he's going to hide that is nobody has to know about it. If she alerts the court or her attorney to the presence of that trust, they're going to open that bad boy. It's going to be opened by court order. Because once it's discovered, once it's no longer anonymous, it is now subject to the jurisdiction of the courts.
Okay, so that's why you instruct men to open it up prior to marriage.
Before marriage.
And women.
Now, B Money is in here. Yes, and women if you have money. B Money said crypto is one of the easiest way to hide and accumulate assets in the marriage as long as the buys are discreet. Okay. Yes, that is true. I'm familiar with that. I'm not as familiar with the crypto as I am with the trust and the separation agreement. That's my area. Yusef Latif, my boy Yusef Latif is also a cryptocurrency administrator. B Money here in my chat room, I can see that he's a crypto guy. So you guys can probably get with him. B Money, put your email address in the chat so people can see it if they have questions. Utilize their skills and their talents. They can, best help you to protect yourself. But again, he said this caveat, as long as the buys are discreet. In other words, as long as you keep your mouth shut. Niggas got a bit of a problem with that. That's why there's a such thing as the first 48. But nevertheless, if the buys are kept secret, yes.
So what you're suggesting is hiding money from the love of your life from the beginning.
For the love of your life from the beginning. I wouldn't hide it. I wouldn't hide it. Because you don't have to hide it. It's a trust I had before you came along. The first question you're asking is when you're married. When you're married and you disclose that, it's a problem. If I set that up before I get married, buddy, but you can't touch it. You can't take someone else's property to satisfy a judgment you have against me because that trust is a separate entity. You cannot take any money from 75 enterprises to pay a divorce judgment against Tony Maceo. Those are two different people. You can't take his money to pay my judgment.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how that works. It says, if I put an operating business in a trust before marriage and the business becomes profitable, are those profits from the business after? Yes, they are protected. Yes, they are. It just has to be done before marriage. Now, you may have to pay taxes on it. But yes, if it is done before the marriage, it is protected in the trust. Okay. And I have another question here from Omar was it Omar Lever? He said, would an ex-wife be able to access funds that are made under a business her husband has under an LLC? It depends. If those assets were accumulated during the marriage, that is marital property. If it was created, if that company was created after the marriage, it is marital property. His assets and his stake in that company is marital property. Likewise, the debts of that company is a marital debt. It is marital property. So yes, she would be able to get it if it was accumulated during the marriage. All right, let's see.
So really the only assets a man can 100% protect are the ones he obtained prior to marriage.
Prior to marriage, or his pension. The only other exception is a pension, is a federal or state pension. Federal or state pensions are not accessible in divorce proceedings. You can't touch federal or state. You cannot levy or alienate federal or state pensions. Okay. Pensions of federal employees or state employees. Normally, if you get a pension from a private job, that can attach, but state pensions and federal, and the reason is because once that money is deposited into that bank account, it loses its identity. What they mean by losing its identity, you forget where it came from. You don't know where it came from. But a state or federal pension is meant for the maintenance and the preservation of the person. It's for you when you get old. It's for you when you can no longer work. It is a social security. It's social security insurance. That's what it is. It's social security insurance. And because social security insurance is not counted as income, it's not taxable, it's also inalienable. You cannot levy it in a judgment. So again, pensions for federal and state employees cannot be attacked or cannot be had in a divorce judgment. The only, I got to take that back. I'm sorry. I have to take that back. Military pensions, those can be touched. Military pensions can be touched. Military pensions can be touched to the tune of 49.5% of your pension.
Good God.
That can be touched. I have to take that back because I can't say that, because I was actually in a law firm working for an attorney who got this guy's pension. He had been in the military for 40 years, and the military has a quadro plan. They have what's called a quadro plan, and that quadro allows them access to that pension. That's how they get access to it. It's 49.5 in the state of Ohio. It may be different somewhere else, but in the state of Ohio, it is 49.5% of that pension she can get. So when I say pension, when I'm talking about pension, I'm talking about primarily disability pensions. When guys go out because they've been injured on the job. That's what I mean. That's what I should say. I need to qualify that. Pensions that are granted to you for disability, those things are inalienable.
Climatic said, some would say, hopefully the love of my life wouldn't go after me maliciously for the bag. That's why you have to protect yourself, because we're all in love in the beginning. And then marriage is a contract. I just want Black people to start looking at marriages. It's not just, I love you, baby, I love you. That's all well and good, but this is a contract. Well, get your head out the clouds, get out of the bed, stop looking at her behind, stop looking at his abs, and y'all start talking about money, because this is when stuff get ugly, is when y'all falling out, something has happened, and now everybody's emotional and everybody's, feelings are running high, emotional, folks is mad, and then talking money, you go to your attorney, he go to his attorney, and y'all fighting. All this is what we're talking about is preventive measures, to where we all sat down when we were level-headed, we was all goo-goo-eyed and all that, but we also talked about money, so that if God forbid you guys separate, it's sort of like you protected yourself ahead. It's sort of like a time capsule. Look at it like that. It's a time capsule.
Look at it. Look at it like a rubber. You protect yourself going in.
Okay.
Protect yourself going in. It's a rubber. It's a condom. Look at it like a condom.
You and your analogies, I'm telling you.
That's what it is. That's what it is. But yes, Rose Gold said it's a thin line between love and hate. It is.
Davey Resm says, so why are cops saying my ex-wife got half my pension? Mm-hmm.
Because again, what I said earlier, the pensions are disability pensions. The pensions that are inalienable are disability pensions, workers' compensation pensions, social security insurance pensions. So yes, as I said before with the military, they're allotted 49.5% in the state of Ohio. The same will go for police officers' pensions.
So is that the same as city pensions, or is that different?
If they're retirement pensions, yes, they can get half. If they're retirement pensions, but if they're disability pensions, no.
So I think Omar was asking that about city pensions. So city pensions can be attached, but not if it's disability.
Not if it's disability. If they're disability or workers' compensation, because some dudes will tell you, well, I've been on the job for 20 plus years and I got hurt, and now all of a sudden, no, you went out on a disability pension. You pop in your collar on a disability pension. That's what it is. It's a disability pension. When you get hurt and you have to retire from your job, that is a disability pension. Those assets are inalienable. Flat out. The only people that can touch those pensions would be the government. Other than that, no creditor can touch those pensions. The disability pensions, they can't touch them. The retirement pensions are one thing. The disability pensions are another. So if the city job or the city-based income is a retirement-based income, yeah, that can be alienated. If it is a disability-based pension, it cannot be alienated.
So basically, when I hear men say don't get married because you're going to get raped over the coals, my thing is, first of all, you're planning to be a failure as a husband because you're not even trying to give your best in a relationship. Then, it's sort of like, well, I'm going to get raped over the coals. It's like, well, you're not even listening. Like, okay, so you expect to marry a woman, get her full of babies. Now you go off and do what you want to do and then take the bag back? Like she's just supposed to just walk out the marriage like the whole last 10 years she's been popping out yo barats that she's not supposed to get compensated? Like men just totally can we talk about alimony? Is that on the menu to later? Because a lot of men are under the assumption that they're gonna get raped over the coal with alimony. When reality is not alimony for most of these men because y'all been paying 50-50. It is child support that's eating men up.
Well, that's the one thing. In trusts, you cannot hide from child support in the trust. You can't do that. You can't put assets that are designated for child support in a trust. You cannot use an asset or use a trust to hide assets that could be used to pay child support. You cannot do that. You cannot do that.
If we are sitting here telling you, if Mr. Maceo is sitting here telling you there's ways to protect your assets and you still talking about I shouldn't get married, so then I'm expecting not to see you having children out here making single mothers. I'm expecting you not to be laid up with a woman talking about 50-50. I'm expecting you to basically be a monk then if you're not planning to be married. Because we got to get away from this dusty mentality because we are very ignorant of the law. We're very afraid of the court system as if women have this ultimate godlike power with the government. There are cases where women are winning, and it's usually where the man is very educated in his rights. Is that not true?
That is correct. You have to educate yourself as to how you have to learn how to defend yourself. You have to know how to protect yourself, and that entails educating yourself about the system.
Women are way better at that than men are. And they think we are just sitting up here plotting against the man we love, and it's really no. We get stuck with these babies. We have stretch marks. Our breasts are sagging. We're not as cute as we were when we said I do to you. And
I like stretch marks and saggy titties. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can't stand you. you, Maceo. And so now you want to walk away and get a younger woman and take the bag back while I have your kids? Like, there has to be some type of protection. So yeah, we're gonna go in knowing what our rights are. We're gonna get attorneys who are gonna tell us, okay, this is what you have. Men, y'all go in, y'all look at our behinds, and y'all like, I love you, girl. And we like, yeah, we love you too. But in the case you leave me for a younger broad, I got you, player. I got you. See, she's more armed and educated than he is, but he thinks the courts are favoring her. No, she just knows what she has access to because she's doing her research, because she is stuck with the babies. She's stuck with the lower sexual market value. She's stuck on the market as a divorcee with babies. You can go out there and get you a young tender. You can go down south to Colombia and get you a Colombian chick. She's stuck here with your kids in America with lower sexual market value. And you want to take the bag back? You want to complain about child support? You want to complain that she needs a house to house you and your children with? See, these are the things that men piss me off when they say about marriage, because you are ignorant of the law. You won't sit down with a professional like Maceo, who is here for free, giving you information about the situation. You'd rather be a baby daddy. You'd rather get a woman pregnant and leave her with kids than get acknowledged like an adult male and handle business. I'm sorry, I had to go on this rant because men are getting on my nerves with this. Don't get married, you're gonna get raped over the coals. And it's like, you have a professional here telling you how to arm yourself, basically giving you the keys telling you how to win, the answers on the test. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Gave niggas an open book test and they still flunked the open book test. Some niggas will literally flunk an open book test with the answers underlined. How the fuck you flunk a test with the answers underlined? But there are some niggas that will literally flunk a test where the answers are underlined. B Money made an excellent point. He said people also get tired of each other in divorce too. Yeah, you're right, B. You're absolutely right. People do get tired of each other. And that's why I said at the top of the program, what you do is you sit down and you discuss this. So if we get tired of each other, and say, well, look, we want to go our separate ways, you go your separate ways, and you get what you get, she gets what she gets, and there's no acrimony. See, most niggas want to play, again, I said this at the top of the program too, most niggas want to play one-upsmanship. They go in their feelings and their emotions. A nigga's ego gets engaged and he want to break that. But I want to break her. Well, see, that's where you fuck up. When you go in and you engage the situation, you trying to get even. You want revenge. You want to get even. You want revenge. So you want to see her bleed and you want to see her burn in the streets. Well, you got a problem, because that man sitting on that bench in that black robe don't want to see her burn in the streets. Because if she burns in the streets, she's going to be on the taxpayer's dime, and he doesn't want her on the taxpayer's dime. So guess what? If he got to pat your pockets in order to keep her off the goddamn welfare rolls, that's exactly what he's going to do. If he has to pat your pocket just to make sure those children eat, that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, it's always a nigga somewhere, but that ain't happened to me. I got done wrong. No, a lot of you niggas got done in because what you were trying to do, you were trying to run game on the bitch and you fucked up and got her pregnant. Your game was going perfectly until you fucked up and got her pregnant. That's where you slipped up at. That she had the ace when she was late, when she missed her period and she was late, it was game over for you. It's a wrap. So a lot of these niggas talking about how they got, no, they went in there to try to get over on somebody and they got by a bitch who they were trying to get over on. That's what it is. Tell the truth. Not all of y'all were tricked. Not she tricked it at me. No, not all you niggas were tricked. And I was listening to a podcast where a dude was saying, well, if a man is laying on a woman's couch and she's not sure that she wants him, why would she keep the baby? I got a question. If you laying on a bitch's couch and you broke, why are you fucking her unprotected? That's my question.
Right.
If you don't have a job and you laying on a bitch's couch, and who do you trust to protect you from that situation, her or you? If you a deadbeat nigga laying on the bitch's couch, why are you fucking her without protection? Well, why she letting me fuck her without protection? Nigga, it's gonna be your money they coming after. You have to protect yourself. You know, I'm sick of niggas not wanting to be responsible. And they say, well, the society holds niggas. They already hold niggas responsible. Well, look, society can hold you responsible, but that doesn't absolve you from holding you responsible. If you want women to take responsibility, you have to take responsibility. So just like you scream, well, the society. No, I didn't say the society, nigga. I said you. You. You take responsibility. You take personal responsibility for what you do with your dick. You take responsibility for that. You think you can count on her if she sees you as a quick come up? Really? You think she's going to look after your pocketbook better than you will? You think she's going to look after your wallet quicker than you will? No. No, she is not going to
Oh
look
my
after
God,
your
oh my
wallet better
God,
than
oh
you
my
will.
God, oh my God, Maceo, please address this overseas. Because for some reason, Black men have it in their mind that marrying overseas or going overseas to get sex or marriage is easier than marrying in the States. Please.
Why do you think that? I mean, but I don't get that though, because I know most of the niggas ain't going overseas to get married. Most of the niggas are going overseas to trick. They're not going overseas to find a wife.
When they
They're
can
going
trick a big
overseas to
booty
trick.
Keisha right here in the
Well,
hood. They
what the
would
thing is, they don't have the subset to deal with big booty. They don't have the skill set, excuse me. They don't have the skill set to deal with big booty Keisha. So, in other words, they will go. Here's the thing: if a woman is nice to them to get their money over here, they would say she's gold digging. But if a woman is nice to them in Brazil or Colombia to get their money, they say she's submissive. Now, how the
boom,
fuck did that happen?
boom.
How the fuck did that happen?
One
It's
is
game.
white and one is black. That's the
It's
problem.
all. It's no. Here's the thing: these are women of color. They're probably not as dark as Keisha, but it's the same shit. They say, "Well, no, that's different because no, she wants your money too." Go ask Dennis Sperling. Anybody under the sound of my voice, go ask Dennis Sperling, can he do any of that shit he's doing over there in Colombia for free and see what he tells you. And a lot of niggas think, oh, well, over there, I can go over there. Nigga, you can go over there with your $40,000 job and you can't, your $40,000 income. And you know what you're going to find? The same big booty bitch that speaks Spanish that you will find in the barrios in East Harlem, in
They
Spanish
all
Harlem.
cost money, but I'm just saying, men in general. I mean, Maceo is about the only person in the manosphere that has tried to tell. Well, Big Mike, try because y'all not really in the manosphere. Y'all kind of outliers, but y'all are the only ones that have consistently said women cost money. You either gonna pay on the front end or you gonna pay on the back end. You either gonna trick it off or you gonna give it to her. But either way, you're gonna pay for a woman. We cost money. We got our lace fronts, we got our nails, we got our makeup, you gotta pay for our clothes.
So wait a minute. You will pay, you'll
Kids.
get a passport, possibly have to get vaccinations, get $1,000 plane ticket to go all the way overseas to pay $75 for some pussy.
You big dummy.
Uh, 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 I'm sorry, but where I went to school at, that doesn't add up. Where I went to school at, that doesn't add up. Now, if you want to go overseas, go, just go, just go. Because a lot of these niggas that talking about they're going overseas, they're not going anywhere. If you're gonna leave, leave. You don't have to make a noise. You don't have to throw a tantrum or make noise on your way out. Just go.
But
Most of the niggas that can afford to go, they already went and nobody knew they were going.
facts. But the funny thing is, the men that are overseas still communicate with the black women here.
Well, yeah, because the thing is they still want to be accepted. I mean, if
Right.
you got, this big booty girl over, why would you care though? That's what I'm saying. Why would you give a damn? The niggas that are threatening and talking about going, so they're not going anywhere. They're not. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They just want to use that as a club or as a buffer. The niggas that are going overseas, they've already left. The
Right.
dudes that
Silently.
they left a long time ago
Mhm.
silently. I think the number I heard was something like what 30% of those men have left, and they said, well, it's a tragedy. Yes, it is a tragedy, but they're gone, and nobody knew they were gone.
Right.
No,
So that's
nobody.
problematic, right?
Yeah. Well, they're gonna
That's
say,
the
well,
whole point. We
the
didn't even know
community's
they were
fucked up.
gone.
The community was fucked up, so their impact or their absence hurt because the community was fucked up. Yeah, yeah, but the community was fucked up when they were there. Okay, the hood has been fucked up for a minute. They chose not to stay in the hood for whatever reason. The black community turned their back on it, whatever the reason may be. The fact of the matter is, they're gone now. That's it. They're gone. That's it. It's a wrap. They're gone. They're gone. The dudes that wanted to leave the community have left the community. So the rest of these niggas that are screaming they're going to leave the community, they're not going anywhere because these niggas don't have any money to go anywhere. They want to pop their collars, on first of the month, poverty pensions, and make you think they balling out of control. No, nigga, you should be the sixth member of Bone Thugs and Harmony because you come up on the first of the month.
Wait, Devin
That's
Haley.
what that is.
She said, Tony. No, she said they went to a foreign hood.
They went to a foreign hood. They went to a foreign hood. That's what happened. They went all the way overseas to go, and they said, "Well, no, that's not happening. That isn't what happened." So now the thing is, well, no, we went to this place, and no, there are places over here that are suburban where women are coming, and the women that are coming to you, they don't want no money from you. The women in the nice neighborhoods and the nice suburbs in foreign countries, they don't want no money from you. They just gonna do all this shit for you for free. Really? Seriously?
No, it's just when black women do it, we have no right to demand anything from a black man. But if you have white skin, you can demand something from a black man.
Well, it's not. That's what I'm saying. But it's not even white skin though. It's not even white skin. It's light brown skin. It's the appearance because these are actually women of color.
Look. Yeah, that half-breed look.
These are actually women of color. These are actually women in foreign countries that are. The majority of them are poor. Not all of them, but the majority of them are poor. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is they're ratchet rustling. They're attempting to be thought whisperers. Okay, so they're going halfway across the country. They're going halfway across the globe just to pay 75.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And so they're trying to convince you that, no, the guys that are men of means, they're already gone. And they're not screaming that they're leaving. They just go. So the Negroes that you hear talking about, pay them no mind. They just want attention. They want your attention. And, they no, don't go. Oh, don't go. Nobody cares, nigga. Nobody cares. Just go. Nobody cares. Just go. So anyway, where are we at here? Let's see. Do we have any questions in the room? Do we have any questions? I guess we don't have any questions at this point. Miss Nicole, do you have any questions?
No, I think that's it. Oh, alimony. Did we talk about alimony? Just briefly touch on that because there's this misconception that men are going to have to pay child support and alimony. But I want to, put to the audience that the majority of these marriages that split, there is no alimony being paid because it's 50-50.
Well, alimony only occurs after you've been married for a specific period of time. In some states, it varies, but the most common number I've seen is that if you've been married for over 8 years. If you've been married for over 8 years, generally, you will be subjected to alimony. But that's right, and alimony doesn't happen much in the black community because niggas ain't got shit.
Right.
Excellent.
They're fighting over kids.
Yep, they're fighting over kids. Niggas ain't got shit but kids. Exactly. There's the biggest thing in the black community is not alimony, it's child support. What are niggas on YouTube screaming about? They're screaming about child support. That's what they're talking about. That's what all of them are talking about. Child support.
Somebody wants to know if you were getting married, and Raining Woman has a question.
It's a possibility I may get married. It's a possibility. If I find the right one, I may do it. I may do it.
Not Mr. 75. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I
Oh,
may do it if I find the right chick. I might do it. If I find a chick to take this 75 and she gonna keep taking this 75, it's on. If she take the 75 and she agreed to take the 75 to death do us apart, god damn it, it's on. We gonna roll till the wheels fall off. All right. Let me see. I know black folks that's been married, that's been separated 20 years, still married and too cheap to get it. Yep, there you go. Too cheap to get a damn divorce. Yep, I couldn't have said it better myself. Family, family and friends. Yeah, you remember what did Johnny Taylor say? It's cheaper to keep her. Damn real.
Raining Woman says, can you tell these men that want to leave how they can get a quick $3,000 and relocate overseas? The shade, lady. The shade. I like it. I like it.
Go take out a bank loan. You know, go pawn your car title.
Payday loan.
Go take a payday loan. Go pawn your car title. Whatever. Just whatever, man. Just go, man. I mean, just go, man. Who cares? Just leave. You know,
black women don't get themselves together. Black women don't get themselves together. We leaving.
Okay. Nobody cares, dude.
And the thing is, Tony, they're not talking to square good women. They're talking to hood rats. That's the thing.
That's what the conversation has always been about. That's the one thing that nobody wants to admit. Everybody's talking about, and they said, well, we're not talking about, yes, you are. You're talking about hood rats. Who are you talking about when you're talking about bastard babies out of wedlock? That's not a girl at a Ivy League college. Who are you talking about when you talk about weave and different color weave? You're talking about a hood rat.
You're talking about the Wild Kingdom. What you call it?
The Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom bitches. That's who they talking about. That's exactly who they talking about. That's exactly the bitch that's tatted up, you know, that, you know, she looks like she's dressed. She looks hypersexual and hyper feminine. She's in the leggings and the thigh high boots, but when she opened her mouth, she sound like a nigga on death row. Real, bruh. What's up, bruh? Real talk, bruh.
That's what you like, Maceo.
That's who they talk. No, I don't fuck with the Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom bitches. I can't. I'm not the lion tamer. I can't tame them. I can't tame them bitches. I can't. But I tell you, can tame the bitches. Mac is a lion. He can tame them bitches. I don't have the patience to tame them bitches. He can tame them bitches. I can't. I can't. I don't have the patience for that.
Big Mike have those them guys putting tattoos on their bodies and all kinds of stuff.
See, he can control them hoes. I can't. I don't have the gumption. I can't sit there and I can't.
Big Mike gets them to put his name on their body. That's amazing.
See, like he is the lion tamer. See, I can't do that Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom shit. He can. I can't get that shit off. Let's see. Yeah, babies nowadays are expensive as hell. Everybody I know just having babies willy-nilly. Yep, broke or fiscally irresponsible. That's like I said, the rich get richer, the poor have children. I told you I would license people to fuck. I mean that. If I had my way, I would be licensing motherfuckers. You would not. Look, back up, take the dick out your hand, back away slowly. You know, I would not allow broke people to fuck. I absolutely would not do it.
Oh my God, 1984, boy.
I would not allow them to do it. You know. Let's see. Destiny 23 says, what is she saying here? Let me put this up here. Let's see. My mother and father was separated for 8 years, got back together, then he got sick and died. She still don't have to work 10 years later.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's your department, not mine.
That's securing the bag.
Okay, too concerned about women being banged out. That's how men get messed over. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got here.
So, fellas, there's no excuse for avoid marriage at this point. It's all really, it's all about you understanding the law and consulting counsel that can help you position yourself as a winner. There's a reason why wealthy men don't have a problem being married. What the public sees being awarded to the wife is not all he has, because trust and believe, a wealthy man has talked to people to protect his assets. So what you see being awarded in the newspapers and TMZ and the media, that's a portion of his money. Can you speak on that?
Well, that's not all of it. That's what, that's
Right.
pretty much
Right.
what was parted with or what he could part with.
Stop
See,
living through celebrities. God.
wealthy people never risk more than they can stand to lose. They understand that nothing is free. They understand that nothing is free. So they deal with money a little bit different than broke people deal with money, than poor people deal with money. They know that courts cost money. They know that lawyers cost money, you know. So a lot of times, they enact or they execute money saving procedures to stay, out of court. That's it's what they do. They will have separation agreements, or they'll have prenups that allow them to cheat. But they allow the terms, certain terms under which allows them to cheat.
Right.
The smart wealthy guys understand one thing. They understand that, and this goes to, what you were saying today on your podcast about the regular girl. See, thoughts erode wealth. Thoughts, destroy wealth. The women that they're chasing and the women that most of these niggas want, they are wealth destroyers. The regular women that have been out here in the workforce, they know how much a dollar is worth. So they're not going to be so apt to throw it away. Does it mean that they're going to live miserly? No, that's not what it means. Of course, they like nice things, and they're going to want expensive furniture and jewelry as well. But they know the value of money. So that's why you see the wealthiest guys with the most common, average-looking women.
There it is, y'all.
See,
There it
the
is.
the the thought is there's a saying. There's a saying that old rich Jew told me one time. He said, Tony, he said, never eat your candy in the bedroom. And I said, why not? He said, because there's no place to throw away the wrapper. I never forgot that. I never forgot that. Never eat your candy in the bedroom because there's no place to throw away the wrapper. When Donovan Sharp said the eights, nines, and tens
Belong to the game.
belong to the game, he was right
Mhm.
about that. Eights, nines, and tens belong to the game. That's what it is. Billy Jeff says, good girls also destroy wealth.
Square girls.
Good square girls also destroy wealth. Give me one. Give me one. I didn't think so. All right. Anyway, let's see. I don't know why we base our lives on the likes of celebrities. Let me see what this says here. I don't know why we base our lives on the likes of celebrities. We're not the same. That's true. We're not celebrities. We're not celebrities. You know. So let's see here. B Money says the problem for average people is space. We too much in proximity with our SO, I guess, shout out.
Significant
Significant
other.
other, and familiarity breeds contempt. Yeah, he's right.
Get out the hood and travel. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Travel.
And travel.
I think every single man should travel.
I think every single man should go through. See, well, the problem is, I'm just gonna lay it out there. The problem is a lot of these dudes didn't go through that. They didn't go through their dog stage. They didn't go through their player stage. And they haven't had the requisite fuck bitch experience. And so now they're out here looking for these sexual conquests with women, attractive women that they would never marry. But it's the only ones that a lot of times that they have available to them. Because again, with a 73 or 74% out of wedlock birth rate, and most of these dudes, again, they will smash these women, but of course, they don't want the priority or the obligation of another man's child. They don't want the responsibility of another man's seed. I get that. I understand that. I really do. And the fact is that they've not had the opportunity to get off what they need to get off. They have not gotten that sexual validation through the conquest of attractive women. And a lot of dudes out here itching They're trying to scratch that itch. They're itching for a scratch, as the old song used to go. They're itching for a scratch, and a lot of them still can't scratch that itch. Even though they find themselves moderately successful, they still can't scratch that itch. Even though they don't have children, even though they have stable lives, they still can't scratch that itch because, as it presently exists, the dating and mating, which means dating and smashing, the opportunities for them have been screwed up by the children out of wedlock. It's been screwed up for them by the preference for, the niggas that ain't about shit. And I can understand their pain. I get that. I get it. I get it. But my thing is what do you intend to do about it? What do you intend to do about it? Do you intend to, remain isolated? Are you content with saying, I just rather have nothing? And if you rather have nothing, then go and have nothing. But you want to scream, you want to scream all the way out the door, and it's like, okay, you did that to do what? You did all that to say what? Or you just want to scream?
Pick a Blossom says, "That's right, death do you part." What is 75 anyway? I'm a little clueless on that.
75 was what I used. 75 was what I used in order to deal with the ratchets. That was the price for the ratchets. That was the price for a ratchet. And they said, well, how would ratchets do anything for 75? Why would they fuck with you for 75? And it's very simple. Because the niggas that they liked and the niggas that they were fucking with took them so low, took them so far beneath the ground to the point where anything was an improvement. See, when you got a nigga laying on your sofa, he's not contributing anything to the household. He's not paying any rent. He's not paying any bills. And he's steadily dragging you under financially. And then on top of it, he's cheating on you. He's making other women out of wedlock, probably doing all kind of other disrespectful shit, taking your car and banging bitches in the back seat of your car, getting you to sign on shit for him, cars for him. It's tax season. So, niggas are being good because, they're getting in position for that tax refund check. They run through your money, they fuck up your credit, they fuck up your life. And so when you come back, you're so far below the ground, you're so far beneath the earth to where you're just looking for a nigga that's square and on the level. They don't want much. They just want a nigga that mean what he say and say what he mean and keep his word. So when they come back, those women are not a big expense because they just want the fundamentals. They just want the basics. All the shit that they should have been looking for before they got pregnant. All the shit that they should have been looking for before they let that nigga lock them up. Or knock them up, excuse me, before they let that nigga knock them up. All the shit they should have been looking for before they let this nigga put his shoes under their bed and move into their homes. All the shit that they should have been looking for before they gave this nigga their cell phone number. Now they just want a nigga on the square. Now they just want a nigga that will keep his word. Now they just want a nigga that will do what he say and say what he mean. Now they just want a nigga to give them a meal at the Asian buffet. Now they just want a nigga, whose house they can come to and chill where they ain't got to deal with a bunch of crying children that they left at home. Now they just want a spot that they can go to and kick it and smoke and lay back and chill. They just want their Calgon moment now. Now they just want to get away. That's what the 75 means. That's what it means, and that's what it's about.
So it's not about courting the woman that you desire for long term. This is about.
It is not about courting because you're not going to marry. You don't marry ratchets.
Right.
I just told you, you don't eat your candy in the bedroom. You eat your candy in the kitchen. Because
short-term gratification.
It's short-term gratification. You throw away the wrapper there. You don't marry that girl. You smash that girl. You don't have babies by that girl. You smash that girl and send her back where she came from.
Yeah,
That's
guys
where the
just don't get that
75
part.
comes
Yeah,
from.
they don't get that part, Maceo. But I hope they appreciate all the information that you've given them tonight. Y'all hit the like button. Y'all hit up his PayPal. Just go type it in if y'all really want to be a blessing to him, because he's really giving y'all some real good game. I know for a fact y'all not hearing this across YouTube. I know for a fact you haven't, because I carouse YouTube and they're giving you misinformation. I've worked in the legal field, so has Maceo, and we telling you they're giving you misinformation. They're misguiding you, and you have two professionals. He's the main one giving you good information to protect yourselves in the event you want to get married. I don't believe that y'all just want to sit up here and be baby mamas and baby daddies. I do believe that you want to mature at some point and enter the adult world and act like adults and be responsible and take care of yourselves. And that's what you have, another black man, competent black man on the mic giving you the information.
I do this for a living right now. And in the process, I deal with massive doses of niggardry on an everyday basis. Massive doses. Okay,
What?
I deal with massive doses of niggardry. Okay, I have another question here from Omar Lever. He said, what if you own a business with a partner and his wife divorces him? Does she have access to the business you own or any of your money? No, sir. She has access to his portion of the business, not yours. Not yours. They cannot snatch your assets to satisfy his divorce judgment. That's a big no, sir. That's a big no. Okay. Uh, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, Billy Jeff had a good point. He said he was thinking about what you said about the end of a trick's life. Yeah, yeah, that was good stuff right there.
Well, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, if you run, and it's really what happens is that you're not gonna fuck. You're not gonna be able to fuck forever. There's some dudes that will tell you, well, they want to be able to fuck until somebody puts them in the ground. That that's not gonna happen. Medically and biologically, that's not gonna happen. At some point, you're gonna lose that urge to fuck.
You
At
have
some point.
men on YouTube 50 and up just talking about just screwing women. And they're encouraging black men to just screw women, not to have families. And I'm just like, who wants your old shriveled up ping ping? Like, at some
Well,
point, when do you mature? Like, really?
they don't, because I keep telling you, the
Black men
children.
don't have the luxury to just only talk about sex. At some point, y'all got to start talking about building.
Well,
Something, y'all not in position to just be
but
frivolous like that.
again, these are dudes that are suffering from a sense, a premature sense of their development has been arrested. They didn't go through a whole lot of gratuitous and casual sex. They never had that opportunity. They didn't
My
go through
God.
that
Ooh.
dog stage. So now they're trying to get it now.
Mm,
For
mm.
whatever reason, they didn't get it, but now they're trying to get it, and they're late in getting it. And I don't believe that they understand, at a certain point, when you get in your 60s and you get in your 70s, you're going to lose the desire for that shit. You're going to lose the zest for women. And I used to wonder why a lot of old couples, they sleep in separate bedrooms. Now, I didn't get that, because it's the stage of life. It's the development, not to coin a phrase, rather, not to be cliche. It's the circle of life. You're not going to be able to just fuck women forever. Even Hugh Hefner couldn't bang women forever, and
He tried.
he
Lord, he
tried, but
tried.
he couldn't even pull it off,
He and even Hugh Hefner kept getting married. That's the
yeah.
thing. He was surrounded by beautiful young women and kept getting married. B Money wants to know: does an LLC or a corporation shield the business?
Not if it's not protected, sir. No. What happens is that your stake in that corporation, if it's under your name, your assets in that corporation can still be seized. Yes, it is a different entity, but the problem is it provides you protection against civil suits. It does not provide you protection or an inalienability against divorce judgment. So your assets in those businesses can be seized
Okay.
if necessary. Your assets can be seized if necessary. If necessary, it can be seized if necessary to satisfy a divorce judgment. Marie N says, as a man, would you make the distinction between the ratchet and the more refined women behavior and attitude? I leave that to Nicole Michelle. Please go to that channel and she'll explain that to you. I have a vested interest in ratchets, so I will not promote such behavior.
He's not going to promote good girls over
I'm
here.
not
He
going to
loves
promote
ratchets.
ratchets. Okay, here we go. I'm 50, but I'm not trying to screw huge amounts of women. I just like my space. Okay, that's fine. If you want to be a bachelor, if there's some dudes out there that just want to be
I can
bachelors,
respect that.
I can
He said he
respect
wants
that.
to be a bachelor, right?
Yes, he's gotten used to being
That's
by
right.
himself, so I
That's
can
right.
respect the
I
fact
can
that he
respect
wants
that.
to be by himself. It's no.
Yep.
If you want to be a bachelor, be a bachelor. It's like what I said before. A lot of dudes, they want to be bachelors just because they want to, they just want to, they want to massive amounts of ass. They want massive amounts of women. They want to keep screwing. If that's you, that's you. Just understand that there's a cost to that. Understand there's a price for that. But if you like my man DL Hughley said, you can do anything you want to do, as long as you're ready to take the consequences that come with it. And that's what most people don't want. They want to do everything they want to do until it's time for them to deal with the consequences. Then they don't want that shit no more. Then they want every excuse, or they use every excuse why they should get out of the consequences. So do what you want, player. I mean, if that's what you want to do what you want to do. And if you have, a good old life or a good old time, and you retire peacefully, and you don't have to be in some nursing home with some STNA/stripper abusing you and leaving you in your own feces and urine, and that's on you. If you can get around that fate, get around it. I'm not saying it's resigned or designated for every man, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But don't necessarily spit on the institution of marriage just because you want to fuck a bunch of women. And
Thank
that's what
you.
I hear. A lot of dudes just want to smash a bunch of women, and they want an excuse to do what they want to do. They want an excuse of what they want to do is shit on marriage just because they want to. We want to thot around in the streets. We want different ratchets. We want to go from ratchet to ratchet to ratchet, but so we want to spit on marriage. We want to degenerate and regress everything down to our libido. No, we just want to
I
bang a
love
bunch of
Brandon
women.
Woman's comments. She low key, she is clowning and I
What did
like
she
her.
say?
I'm not gonna say it out loud, but y'all
Where are
see
you
it.
at? Let me look here. Let me look here.
Go up.
Oh, here it is. Who wants your nuts that are dragging the ground and leaving carpet trails? Huh?
Oh
That's
my
you
god.
never know.
Marie said she just wanted your take because she listens to me. She's a regular, but she wanted to know Macio's thoughts.
A
And
ratchet is what it says it is. A ratchet is a girl that is irresponsible. She is overly promiscuous. I don't have any problem with sexual promiscuity, but there are some women that are overly promiscuous to the level of self-destruction. They are usually irresponsible. They are usually devoid of any sense of uh, family. They are devoid of any sense of normalcy. They're usually loud, of course, extra loud, extra hood, extra ratchet. The type of girl that goes to the PTA meeting in a bonnet and the Tweety Bird slippers.
wait, they go to the PTA meeting for real?
Yeah, they
For
go to
real?
the PTA. Yeah, I've seen them come to the PTA meeting in bonnets and Tweety Bird slippers and dingy pajama pants. That's where I got that shit from. They actually come to PTA meetings like that. They actually come to PTA meetings like that. Just
Mm-mm.
people that are just uncouth. And the only saving grace they have is their promiscuity. There's nothing interesting about them except their promiscuity. That's it. That's it.
Ladies, listen to the man. Listen to the man. He's telling you. He's telling you. So I hope you all I hope you all bless his PayPal because he never asked for anything. I'm asking you all. I'm asking you all coming from Inner Beauty TV to bless Mr. Maceo. He's giving y'all information. Fellas, y'all the main ones because he did this show for y'all. The ladies, we're just supporting. So,
Yeah.
you all need to bless his PayPal because I'm asking you to. Way of Strategy 44, paypal.me/Way of Strategy 44. Hook your brother up because he's giving y'all free information that you know you wouldn't have gotten anywhere else, especially on YouTube. I know for a fact you wouldn't have gotten it, and you definitely wouldn't have gotten it for free. He's trying to help you out and encourage the brothers and so forth and so on. Y'all make sure y'all support Genosha TV. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the like button. If you're not gonna give, at least hit the like button. Golly.
The like is free, niggas. The like is free. If you ain't gonna give me no money, at least hit the thumbs up. But that's how niggas are. That's why I generally don't do content.
You know what? I think
generally
they are. I think they're
I-
gonna bless you.
I don't. Well, see, I don't care. See, here's the thing. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I'm not gonna hold niggas hostage for a
Well,
donation.
I hope they do. I know
You
you're
do.
not. I
You
know
do.
you're not.
You do. You don't. You don't. That's why I don't
I'm
put out
asking.
a whole lot of shows. I don't put a whole lot of emphasis into putting out a whole lot of shows because really what I'm doing is I'm calling the world as I see it. I'm looking at shit as I see it. So, I mean, if you understand it, you understand it. If you don't, you don't. If you think it has value, you do. If you don't think it has value, but I'm absolutely giving you information that can help you survive. So whether you decide to pay me or not, niggas are gonna be niggas. That's just what it is. But you can't say that somebody didn't give you the information. You can't say that you didn't have somebody to come along and let you know what was what. You didn't.
And
you can't say
Black women are not supporting Black men because we in the building tonight. So
yeah, they are. The women are in it. Well, that's that's the thing though. That's the thing though, because the next thing is they'll say, well, you nigga, you pandering, you a simp, you pandering. Nah, man. The thing is, I stand for the truth. I'm not here for MGTOW supremacy. That's not what I'm here for. I represent the truth no matter where it lies, no matter what it is. Wrong is wrong. I don't care under whose ideology it is. I'm not gonna jump off a cliff following another nigga's ideology. That ain't my style. That ain't how I roll. So I'm not interested in verifying or co-signing their disdain for females. And by the same token, I'm not interested in being a tool for women. I call it as I see it. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it is. That's the way it's going to be. And everybody knows what it is.
Wait. Your favorite troll is back. Miss Stack said you were not honest. What is he not honest about?
What am I not honest about? Yeah, that's a good question. What have I lied about? What have I lied about, Miss Misa Stacks?
Perfect Wealth. Okay, I got you. I won't do that. Me and my channel and the women that listen to me on my channel, we support Black men. That's why we in the building supporting Maceo. We supporting View from the Man Cave, Ultimate Black Man Radio. We supporting the men that support us. So,
Well, it's quiet. She hadn't said anything. You are not honest. Okay, whatever this is, whatever that means.
She wants your attention. That's all.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. She wants my attention. But anyway, you can't say that I didn't tell you the truth. You can't say that I didn't keep it 100 with you. You can't say that I didn't do it because I did. I told you, I called it as I saw it, and that's how I see it. You don't have to be you don't have to be a mark. You don't have to be a sitting target for the system. You can actually fight the motherfucker back. And even if you lose, I was always told that if someone gets their lunch off you, you have to get your breakfast off them. You always fight because next time the person will go somewhere else. And if you are unwilling, there's a slogan. There's a slogan that the late great Fred Hampton used to say of the Black Panther Party. He said, "Dare to struggle, dare to win. And if you don't dare to struggle, goddamn it, you don't deserve to win." And so that's the way it is. If you don't even want to fight to protect yourself, if you don't even want to fight to defend your wealth, if your wealth is not worth defending, then don't cry or don't bitch when you get licked. It is what it is. Don't bitch or don't complain when you get licked.
Maceo, what's your Patreon? Because you're taking this down and putting it on Patreon, right? So they need to join your Patreon to hear this from it in its entirety, right?
Absolutely. My Patreon is Power of Strategies. IES Power of Strategies on Patreon. Power Strategies on Patreon. I don't know why they couldn't get my PayPal, but it's wayofstrategy44@gmail.com.
Y'all just gonna have to type it in
Y'all just going to type it in and
at
do it that
Gmail.
way at
And
Gmail. I imagine that's the case, but my Patreon is Way of Strategies. I guess now people are asking, so I'm gonna get a Cash App. I guess I'm gonna go sign up and get a Cash App and do that. But again, I gave it to you raw. I gave it to you how it is, and I spelled it out. And you can take it or you can leave it alone. And again, if you get got, it ain't my concern because I told you what the deal was. I told you what the deal was. I got another question here. What is the I guess this was the purpose for holding company LLC. What is the significance of an operating company? You have to explain it. You have to go somewhere else with that. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're asking me. I was talking about trusts here tonight. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about holding companies or LLCs. I was here talking about protecting your wealth. I was talking about prenuptial agreements, separation agreements, and trusts. The best vehicles for protecting your wealth is going to be trusts. That is the best wealth for protecting your assets, for protecting your wealth. Of course, there's cryptocurrency, as my man B Money pointed out earlier. There's trust. That's a way of protecting your wealth. So you don't have to be afraid, because here's the real. If you spend most of your money chasing women, you're gonna be broke anyway.
Oh shoot. Way of Strategies. That's it?
Yes, that's it.
No, that's wrong. That PayPal is wrong. I'm trying to get the link to your
Okay,
PayPal.
that's the Patreon. Okay. I got it up.
Let me look it up. Hold on.
I got it here. Patreon.com, Way of Strategies. That's it. So again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We're going on 2.5 hours. We've run a bit long. I thank you guys for coming in and supporting me. I think I got up to almost 80 or 90 tonight. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for coming here to check us out. I don't know if the Fat Mac is in the building. He probably somewhere with a ratchet right about now. He was in the building earlier. I want to thank B Money. I want to thank Miss Nicole Michelle for her contribution and for her again promoting my channel. I want to thank B Money for dropping through. I want to thank Billy Jeff for dropping through. Perfect Money for dropping through. R Mac in the house. I want to thank those brothers for coming in and checking me out and hearing what we had to say. I'm going to put this up in Patreon. I'm not going to leave it out. So if you guys have a question, you can hit me at wayofstrategy44@gmail.com. If you have any questions about anything, any sane show ideas, again, any sane show ideas, you can hit me up at wayofstrategy44@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to go over to Miss Nicole Michelle's channel, Inner Beauty TV. Go over there and hear her fuck up my game and ruin my ratchets. Sooner or later, these ratchets are gonna be asking for a ring, so something's gonna have to be done about that.
Tell them share my live so they can learn how to secure the bag from Maceo.
What you want me? No. I will not say that. I will not do that. Go over there to Miss Nicole Michelle's channel on Inner Beauty TV. Go over there and chop it up with those lovely and listen to what they have to say. It may not be what you think it is. Don't get poisoned by a lot of this shit that you hear out here in the manosphere, because a lot of this shit ain't nothing but it's just venom. And the truth is it's just about fucking hood rat bitches. No matter what anyone tells you.
I got the link right. Yay. Okay.
No matter what anyone tells you.
Yes, there's the link, y'all.
No matter what anyone tells you, no matter what they say, no matter all the intellectual wrangling and rigor. It's all about fucking hood rat bitches. That's what these discussions have been about from the
So
get.
ladies, don't take them fools
That's
seriously.
don't take that shit seriously.
They ain't talking
It's
about nothing.
all about fucking hood rats. That's what this is about. It was about hood rats when they started, and it's still about hood rats right now. This is not about the Michelle Obamas. This is not about the Claire Huxtables. This is not about the Gladys Knight from Charlie and Company. I'm dating myself. That's y'all don't know anything about Charlie and Company. They're not talking about the Harriet Winslows. You know, they're not talking about that. They're talking about the La La Anthonys. They're
talking about Ronnie from a Players Club.
They're talking about Ronnie and Trixie from Players Club. That's who they're talking about. They're talking about Keisha and Tasha from Power. That's who they're talking about. They're not talking about any women that are, you know, thorough.
Devin
They're not talking about
as usual. Devin is on point as usual. You know. She's 8, 9, and 10s on the hood. I know we just love collaborating. It's like we can talk forever, y'all. We gotta go.
Yep, that's again, don't get bent out of shape. Just know who and what they're talking about, and listen to who's saying these things.
Thank you.
That'll answer a lot of your questions, because again, a lot of these niggas are just, again, they're looking for somebody to fuck, bitch. That's all it is. They're looking for somebody to fuck, bitch. And now they found their opportunity to be halfway famous on the web, and they're taking advantage of it. So with that being said, I'm up out of here. I still have to upload my columns. I'm kind of late on uploading my columns for O'Shea Duke Jackson. I have some things I have to get done there as well. But with that being said, you guys enjoy your night. It's been a pleasure having you here. It's been a pleasure having Miss Nicole Michelle here. So until next time, we wish you love, peace, and soul. And we are out of here.